Yes, lads, what is going on, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 28 of the Liten Here Irishman podcast. Really quickly, before we start talking about my week of training and whatnot, there's 2 to 3 things I come on to talk about. The first thing is I really can't wait until I get my mic for Christmas, for a different couple of reasons. The first reason is obviously it will improve the sound quality overall. It will improve the sound quality overall of the podcast and future YouTube videos, so that will be really good. Second of all, it will kind of be a little bit more professional when I have like the big mic coming up to my mouth. I'll feel a lot more comfortable, you know, because I have to do a little bit more like sound editing with the episode of the podcast. Like I have to do noise removal, and when I do that, it doesn't sound great because the mic on these earphones are not the best at all. Also, when I'm playing games with my mates, what I have right now is like my earbuds connected to my PS4 controller that are plugged into the back of my computer, which isn't great at all, and that it doesn't make the sound as good as it can be because it has to go through the PlayStation controller into the computer. I have actually a headphone jack splitter for the headphone and microphone port on the front of my computer, but it's really bad and it just makes this really terrible noise, and the earphones as well are just really terrible. I'll use the earphones for sound, so if I'm talking to a guest, I'll use the earphones for actually hearing what they're saying, but the microphone, until I get a proper pair of headphones, I have them for my PlayStation but not for my computer, but then obviously I'll have the mic as well. It just the sound hasn't been great it's for the podcast lately, and for my friends as well. They're telling me when we were in games. So yeah, that's the first thing I want to start off with saying. That I can't wait to get my mic. It's a Toner Q9 condenser microphone. It's like €45. It comes with the boom arm. It comes with the thing, like the muffled thing that you put on the actual microphone. It comes with the noise condenser, and obviously it comes with the Toner Q9 microphone. I've been seeing a lot of really good reviews about it. It's one of the best out there for price and performance. Toner is obviously a really good brand, so yeah, I can't be waiting to get that and start using that. I don't know really why I started talking about that. It's just because recently I've noticed the mic sound being pretty terrible, so I just wanted to let you guys know that basically there will be better sound coming soon, so you guys don't need to be worrying about that. 2 other things before we jump into this week's episode of the podcast. The support on Thursday's episode of the podcast was absolutely insane. Not only did it get us to 2,000 total plays over all platforms for the podcast, you guys also over on YouTube in the first 5 hours got us to 150 views, which for me is really good. Is sitting at like 250 views now, and yeah, no, I'm really happy about that. It was a really good episode of the podcast with Phelim. I knew with him being able to promote it, and Dublin Track Club being able to promote it, and me being able to promote it, and you guys just constantly listening and watching the episodes of the podcast, I knew this episode was going to do well. So I really do appreciate you guys listening in and watching that episode of the podcast. If you haven't, make sure to do check that out. But yeah, and obviously I had a good time recording that with them as well. As I said, we hit 2,000 total plays over on Anchor. Anchor's where I get my information and my analytics and my statistics about all the episodes of the podcast. We've hit 2,000 total plays over Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, every podcast app. So as I usually say, so that is really cool. Thank you guys so much for that. And doing one even better, including the total 2,000 total listens, and putting in on top of that the total watches on YouTube, we come to a total of 6,763 total listens and watches combined. 6,763. That is absolutely insane. I know like over 4,000 that is coming from YouTube, but I feel like not a lot of people as of right now have like a lot of like podcast apps you know, with YouTube, you kind of click on it and you get the view. It's kind of a little bit different with the podcast, and that's why, you know, YouTube's just a little bit handier for a lot of people, so that's why, and a little bit more popular, so that's why I have more over there than I do on podcast apps. But still, 6,763 total plays and listens over YouTube and every podcast app. That's absolutely crazy. I really appreciate everyone that either that just clicks onto the podcast, leaves it listening in the background. If you listen to it on a run, if you listen to it on a walk, if you just listen to it when you're bored, or if you watch it, I appreciate everyone that has been watching or listening to these episodes of the podcast, because the numbers show, and you know, the amount of episodes that I do be recording, and you know, putting a bit of work into and getting guests on, it really is shown now. But obviously you guys have to actually listen and watch, and I appreciate everyone who does so. And there was one more thing. Oh yeah, we're also on 144 subscribers, and make sure to share around the YouTube channel or the podcast to help us get to 150 subscribers. Hopefully I might try to bring out a big episode or a big video before Christmas, and hopefully we can get to 150 subscribers before Christmas. And that would be, or you know what, I'm going to set a challenge right now. Before the end of 2020, I want to get to 150 subscribers. It's only 6 more subscribers. I feel like we can really do that, and if we get to that in maybe a week or two, depending on like the content that's going out, I will bump it up to 200 subscribers before the new year. I know with big episodes and big videos going out, you guys will pull through, but yeah, as of right now, before the new year, I want to reach 150 subscribers. So make sure to go down and smash that subscribe button to help me out, help me out with that. So that is pretty much all I wanted to talk about before we jump into this episode of the podcast. There's one little thing at the end, nothing major at all, that I'm just going to talk about at the end, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And let's just pretty much jump into this episode of the podcast. So Tuesday's weather was 14 degrees Celsius at 81% humidity. Wasn't too cold or warm at all. Not bad weather, not bad run weather, as I say, but it was really windy, and we were on the track again. This is actually a pretty big session. So we were on the track again, and it was really windy coming down that back straight, and that definitely played a part in how my legs felt going in during the session, I should say, and how it felt at the end of the session, and also it also shows in the times a little bit. So yeah, it was really windy on Tuesday, but another reason for the times is because we probably done, rep wise, it is our biggest session ever. 14 by 400 meters, that with a 15-minute jog warm up and stretches and strides before it. We averaged 74 to 76 seconds, sometimes getting around 73 to 72, and sometimes getting from 75 to 76. But yeah, the reason maybe it's a little bit slower than last Tuesday, if I click over onto last Tuesday, last Tuesday does show that we done pretty good. We got 72 to 75, but obviously it wasn't windy last Tuesday, and we only done 12. And trust me, 2 reps do make a significant amount of difference, because you, like, on a Tuesday when we're doing 12, you're like, all right, we're 6 down, you know, we're halfway there. But then you need to get to 7, and then you're halfway there for 14 reps. And especially with the wind, every rep does count. And we are probably our biggest session ever, 14 by 400 meters. Not the best session, but not the worst session. This Tuesday we're going to be doing 14 again. Hopefully, if the wind is better, we can feel a little bit better and do a little bit better in this session. Fingers crossed. We done a 15-minute cool down, and yeah, it was a pretty decent session. Tough one, but a decent one. Moving on to Wednesday. Wednesday was 9 degrees Celsius at 77% humidity. I remember doing this run. It wasn't the worst run overall, I must say. It was just an average run. After Tuesday's session, I I went slow. I didn't feel too bad, but I didn't feel too good either. As I said, I just went nice and slow after Tuesday. Comparing that to last Wednesday was 8.54k. This Wednesday was 8.64k at 5 minutes 13 seconds per kilometre, or 5.37 miles at 8 minutes 23 seconds per mile. Last week was 8.54k at 5 minutes 19 seconds per kilometre, or 5.30 miles at 8 minutes 35 seconds per mile. Two decent enough Wednesday runs back to back. Nothing major to talk about there. Thursday was 10 degrees Celsius at 70% humidity. It felt a lot colder on Thursday, I must say. Wednesday felt colder than Thursday, but Thursday felt pretty cold as well. Thursday I'd done this with my mate once again. It was 9.74k at 5 minutes 20 seconds per kilometre, or 6.05 miles at 8 minutes 35 seconds per mile. Decent run overall. Comparing that to last Thursday was 9.21k at 5 minutes 36 seconds per kilometre, or 5.73 miles at 9 minutes flat per mile. So this week was a little bit better. Moving on to Friday was a rest day. As usual, I take a rest day on a Friday, so nothing really to talk about there. Moving on to Saturday, definitely the worst day training-wise of the week, and one of my worst days training-wise ever, I could say. So this week we've had one of our biggest sessions ever and one of our worst sessions ever. But anyway, before we jump into that, Saturday was 12 degrees Celsius at 75% humidity. It was actually raining in the morning, but then when we got to training and started running, it brightened up a little bit. But that rain in the morning definitely played a very big factor into the session. So the session was 6.1k on the Garden Wall Hill. For any of you new listeners or viewers, the Garden Wall Hill is basically, or the Garden Wall Loop, I should say, is it's a 500 meter loop, and it starts on a flat coming into a downhill, then coming into a bit of an uphill, and the smaller uphill is more gradual and it's longer, and that hurts more than the big kind of shorter but a lot more steeper uphill. Don't know really what that's all about, but then after that gradual uphill it comes into a flat, and then into the big uphill, and then back onto a flat. It's a pretty tough course, and especially yesterday it was really mucky. As Mick said, it was an energy draining session. It wasn't meant to be a fast speedy session. It was a typical cross-country session with the muck and the hills. It was meant to be energy draining. The times weren't meant to be super fast. And on the topic of times not meant to be super fast, usually I say I can't really compare this session to last Saturday's session, because this Saturday was 1Ks and last Saturday was 1500 meters. But so just take my fastest 1K this week, which was the first rep. The first rep was 4:35 and the last rep was 4:35. So just say the first rep. Comparing that, and now keep in mind this first rep for 4:35 was a 1K, and last Saturday it was 4:25 was my fastest rep for 1500 meters. Now, my legs felt good in the warm up and stretching and all. But at the very start of the first rep, I felt this was gonna be, you know when you feel it, and you know it's gonna be a hard session. It was the same. It was the same here. I just felt it, and I felt like it was gonna be a tough session, and I wasn't really gonna be able to go fast. And I thought I was only gonna be able to go 3 or 4 reps out of 6. This course we done. Segment of the Garden Wall Hill was in it, and was in this course. Just pretty much, so the Garden Wall Hill has a few trees, so it's kind of like, do you know Nike campus? You know the track with the 3 to 4 lanes on the outside, and then the trees in the inside. Well, that's kind of what it's like for the Garden Wall Hill, but instead of track, it's grass, and there's all trees and all in the middle, and there's kind of a cut across. So for the 1500 meter lap, we kind of cut across the Garden Wall loop, but we just get that one steep uphill coming into the finish. last Saturday was a decent enough session. I didn't feel great, but I remember saying that I was getting into it a little bit more. But yeah, I just wanted to compare those to show that my fastest rep for 1500 meters, and it's not like I've done significantly less last Saturday. I done one more or less, but I done 500 meters more on each rep. The course was a little bit more flat in terms of the 1500 meter loop, but I just wanted to compare them a little bit to show, one, how bad I felt, and two, how much of an energy draining session that was. On another day, not everyone felt bad. A few of the lads done really, really good this session, but some of the other lads that would usually be up the top as well were kind of falling off a little bit and were really feeling it. So yeah, everyone thought it was quite a disgusting session. And real quick, my slowest rep on Saturday was a 4:42. My slowest rep on Saturday 2 weeks ago, or last Saturday I should say, was a 4:40. So even my slowest rep with the 1500 is faster than my slowest rep with the 1Ks. The first rep was a 4:35, the second rep was a 4:40, the third rep was a 4:38, the fourth rep was a 4:42, the fifth rep was a 4:39, and the sixth rep was a 4:35. And obviously Saturday was 12 degrees Celsius with 75% humidity. Really wanted to talk about that session real quick and just compare them to the show. And the thing with this podcast is, especially for the Sunday episodes, is that like I want to show the real stuff. So I want to show when the sessions are obviously really, really good, and when the time trials are going good, and when the races are going good, and when I'm setting new PBs and everything's going well, and when the runs are good. But I also want to show, and there's a lot of them, and when it comes to runs and training and time trials and races, I want to show when it's going not so good. Maybe not bad, but not so good. So yeah, just want to say that because that's what this podcast is all about. Because I feel like nowadays, and I know you hear it all the time in podcasts and all, but nowadays people show small snippets of only the best things that are not even in running, just in life in general when it comes to anything. Like, oh, they're going on holidays somewhere, and then you might be stuck in school, but then, you know, you might be on holidays somewhere and you don't post about it, and then someone's like, oh, Killian's obviously not on holidays, he wasn't posting about it, but you were. So people only going off by what you were posting. So the same with running. If you're not posting about all the great things you were doing, you know, people are like, oh yeah, he's not doing anything great. But if you post about like the bad things that you're doing, people are like, oh yeah, he's doing stuff bad. So here I want to do both. I want to show when I'm doing good and also when things aren't going so good. And yeah, that's because if I was just showing you the good things and then possibly I wasn't living up to that in races, everyone would be like, hold on a minute, like, what is this all about? You know, like, he's running these times and training all the time, and he's doing this and he's doing that and he's doing this amount of miles, and then in the races I don't do as good. So that's another reason why I want to show you what, like, the kind of stuff is, the real raw stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And on Saturday we done a 15-minute jog cool down. On Sunday, this morning at 7:30 this morning was a 75-minute run and 13.66k at 5 minutes 31 seconds per kilometre, or 8.49 miles at 8 minutes 30 or 53 seconds per mile. Decent run, not the best run ever. It was 4 degrees Celsius this morning. If on the weather app it says 4 degrees Celsius, feels like 2. The Apple weather app needs to get updated because it felt like -10. It was freezing, but it was also 70% humidity. So yeah, it was really, really cold this morning. Not the best run either, especially after Saturday. Obviously my legs were still a little bit drained compared to last Sunday. These two runs were the exact same. This week was 13.66k at 5 minutes 36 seconds, and this week was 13.66k at 5 minutes 31 seconds. So I'm not sure how we can go the same time and same pace, but go the same distance. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, last Sunday was a 5 minutes 36 seconds per kilometre, or 8.49 miles at 5 minutes 53 seconds per mile. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the week of training. All we have to do now is total K. This week was 43.64 K and 27.11 miles. Last week was so this week was 43k, last week was 43.71, and this week was 43.64. Pretty much all thereabouts the same. We done a little bit more this Thursday's run, but obviously we done significantly more on Saturday's session. We done how much more? Okay, we done like 2.5k more last Saturday. So yeah, that is why it's a little bit more distance last week than it is this week, but it doesn't make much of a difference at all. The QOTW, the question of the week this week is, what do I think about the NN running team Joshua Cheptegei documentary that came out on Thursday? I think it was Thursday, I'm not too sure. It's an 18-minute long documentary. I'll link it down in the description below and in the show notes for anyone that didn't know it was out and wants to check it out. It's basically a documentary on how Joshua Cheptegei, it's not too long, it doesn't go too in depth. It's kind of just when he was in Valencia, how he felt before the 10k world record attempt in Valencia. His coaches were giving a bit of feedback about Joshua, how much of a good athlete he is, what he's like in training, and obviously they show clips of the race. They also show clips of the 5k world record that was set on the track that day in Valencia. Maybe they should make it a women's 5k world record that was set in Valencia that day. They should make a documentary for that. They did show a few snippets of that as well, but that was another amazing achievement, so they should definitely make a documentary about that. Yeah, it shows Joshua Cheptegei basically talks about how he felt before the race, how he felt after the race, what the racing experience was like. His coaches talk about Joshua Cheptegei. They talk a little bit about the sessions they do leading up to the 5k world record attempt. They talk about the season Joshua Cheptegei had, and a lot more, and kind of goals for the future. You know, obviously Joshua said that he wants to be the greatest distance runner of all time, and a lot more. I don't want to, there's not really too much to spoil, because what's in the documentary you already know, that obviously he set the 10k world record and whatnot. But I just wanted to mention it to say that I really enjoyed it, and I really do recommend you check it out. I'll leave the links to it down in the description below. Make sure to check it out. It's on NN Running Team's YouTube channel. And yeah, as I said, it's all about Joshua Cheptegei, how he felt before the race, how he felt weeks before the race, how he kind of prepared, a few bits about that. Coaches talking about Joshua Cheptegei, how he felt during the race, and Joshua Cheptegei, how he felt after the race, and also snippets of the women's 5k world record that was set in Valencia that day. And that is pretty much it. As I said, I really enjoyed it, and I 100% recommend it. This episode, once again, is only 23 minutes long, and I think I might try post this one to Patreon. I know no one has bought into it yet. As I said, guys, links are all down in the description to buy into the Patreon. It's a €5, €7 and €10 plan. They all have different kind of perks to them, and so if possible, please do help me out. It will help go towards mics, headsets, Movavi video suite, paying for that, and possible computer upgrades to help with editing and everything. So yeah, if you guys could, it's only a small fee, and it really does help me out a lot. And I may attempt to post this episode to Patreon. But without further ado, guys, I hope you did enjoy this episode of the podcast. If you did, hit that subscribe button. As I said, I want to get to 150 subscribers before the end of the year, and if we do, hopefully we can get to 200 by the end of the year. I know that might be a big show, but I know you guys can do it. Go down, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, share it with all your friends. If you listen to it, share with all your friends as well. Hit that like button. Follow me over in the Liten Irishman official Instagram to be kept up to date with stuff behind the scenes and a lot more. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.